The Nigerian Economic Summit Group, in its role as connector, dialogue partner, watchdog, and intervener,
when you first start business, your target is to make your first million.
Seeks to change the narrative and trajectory of the Nigerian economy. Together with our partners, we're not just solving problems, but preventing them, because when advocacy succeeds, the nation transforms for the better. But advocacy is for the strong. It takes fact-based inputs, resilience, partnerships, courage, and a lot of heroes. So be our hero. Subscribe to our channel, listen to our messages, and engage with us. Together, we can transform Nigerian lives, communities, and businesses. Welcome to the NESG Radio.
Hello, welcome to the NESG Radio. With me today, I have Olakpeju Ibekwe. She is the Chief Executive Officer of Sterling One Foundation. She is a seasoned communications, sustainability and development professional with consistent history of delivering impactful projects that cut across maternal health, food security, digital education and environmental sustainability in her 2 decades of experience. Hello, Olakpeju. Welcome to the NESG Radio.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. So today we'll be discussing about the activities and, the business of Sterling One Foundation, and seeing that you're doing quite a lot around social welfare in Nigeria. And, you'd agree with me that it's a tough time at the moment in Nigeria for many households, businesses, and the nation in general. And we're constantly being reminded of the need for partnerships and collaborations to get through these times. What would you then say are the critical factors that need to be put in place to facilitate and boost social welfare in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Sandra. I think that's a fantastic question, especially against the backdrop of the coronavirus pandemic that has changed the stories and increased inequalities in our economy significantly since last year. And it's not just an issue that Nigeria is facing, it's a global issue, although there's been some improvement since after we had a small break. So I'll speak to 5 things that are critical for the success of a social welfare program. The first is sustainable funding. Funding is critical. If you do not have funding, you really do not even have a social welfare program at all. And you have to look at having long-term funding. It cannot be a flash in the pan. It cannot just be about one program and that it has to be sustainable. And when it comes to sustainable funding, I go to the fact that there has to be different funding sources. So we need international, basically I could even call it blended financing. We need different kinds of financing to make that happen. Speaking to that, I'll go to the next point, which is effective collaboration among state and non-state actors. Social welfare in various countries is supposed to be the responsibility of government. But it is clear in our climate that government is trying, but government cannot do it alone. It is important for the private sector to step up and start fighting poverty. I must commend the private sector in Nigeria. There has been different investments over time as part of corporate social responsibility, sustainability targets, sustainability priorities. However, it is clear that there is need for more, and there is no more room for sole work. There is no more room for silo execution. For us to do more, we have to work together. Like they say, together everyone achieves more. And the challenges we have in Nigeria, if we are going to move away from the terrible statistics that says that Africa is going to be the poverty capital of the world in the next 10 years, and Nigeria is even currently the poverty capital of the world, that has to take not just one hand or 2 hands or 3 hands. Everybody's hands has to be on the plow. And that's one thing that we're very, very focused on at Sterling One Foundation. We seriously believe it's about partnerships for the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And every one of our programs, we're looking to bring in more partners to see how together we can bring in our skills, our resources, both financial and non-financial, to ensure that the outcomes we expect to achieve are really met. And then I would speak to political will. Like I mentioned earlier, the government has social welfare programs. We have the N-Power scheme. We have the school feeding program. So it's clear that the government is not just sitting down and doing nothing. They are doing things, executing various initiatives. But the need is still huge. There is still so much more to be done. So the responsibility of the government is to put in the policies in place and then ensure that there's a political will to not just start programs, but effectively execute them to ensure that the outcomes are met. The political will is critical, and I can see our government is doing stuff, but it's obvious that there is still so much more that needs to be done. And then I would go to effective monitoring and evaluation. It is not just enough for you to have a program. There has to be a place where you take stock of what has been achieved so far. The program was set to achieve ABC. Has it achieved it? Why did it achieve it? Why did it not achieve it? What were the gaps? How can the gaps be plugged? So it is not just about activity, but then focus on outcomes. Where there is no effective monitoring and evaluation, we cannot be sure if the programs are actually achieving the objectives for which they were set to achieve. We cannot be sure if we're not putting round pegs in square holes. So that is also critical. Finally, I would speak to adequate reporting with a view to process improvement and enhancement of the programs. So that's one thing I love about some of the programs we've even had in Nigeria. So it's okay for me to have a first phase of a program. And that's the rule of having pilot project execution. To see, did this achieve? What were the data we sourced from it? That's another thing about leveraging digitization. I didn't mention digitization because I believe it's a given. It is the enabler and it is the future. That is when you say data is oil. The best way to get data across the country. If you want to get data of all the youth in Nigeria, you leverage digitization to be able to even know the needs assessment, to know what are the issues, what are the social issues, and where do we need to intervene, how do we need to intervene. We have to leverage data for all of that. I didn't mention needs assessment also, but I believe it's also part of data, because it's not just enough to have a program. If I don't know what the problems are, I probably may just be throwing money at something that doesn't need money at all. So those are the things I would like to speak to as critical for social welfare programs, for effectiveness at this time, to take us from where we are and to ensure that we completely heal from the challenges of the coronavirus pandemic and to make the 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals a reality in Nigeria.
Oh, thank you very much, Olakpeju. I mean, listening to you, you mentioned quite a range of factors that underlie the impacts or that can boost social impacts in Nigeria. And one of the things you mentioned was political will, sustainable funding. And we get to see that the Nigerian government seem to be doing quite a lot, regarding social welfare in Nigeria. So the first question I would like to ask you is, what really is the impact of social welfare on the Nigerian economy? And how can we as individuals monitor, whatever corruption is going in there, and how can we tackle it?
I'll take it from the second question. As an individual, you do not have the capacity to monitor corruption in government.
Okay.
Or in any place, except data is made available to you. There's room for the civil society organization to demand accountability.
Great.
So maybe we need to demand accountability some more. But monitoring is not our role. Mm-hmm. We trust them, that's why they're in power. Right? And then it is now for them to be accountable to us and to deliver to us. I think that is where our role lies. If you do not have data and facts, you cannot claim that someone is doing something wrong. Or whether they're doing something right. That's why if it's in the court of law, it's about evidence. It's evidence-based. If you do not have the evidence, you can't win it. I'm going to go scot-free even if I'm guilty. Mm-hmm. So there has to be evidence to back up any claim or any accusation.
That's right.
Right. So it's our role to demand accountability, and civil society organizations can support with that and put processes in place. And then we can also have good relationships with governance to see how they can also ensure and constant engagement. Now, that is what we can do as part of the populace, as individuals. Your first question was, what's the impact of social welfare
on the Nigerian economy?
It is supposed to ensure that there is more inclusion, there's more equitable distribution of wealth. Everyone feels like they are part of this society, and it's also supposed to help reduce crimes. Because if I feel that the society is not fair to me, I'm likely to turn against that society. It is, and unfortunately, we have some not very nice stories currently in Nigeria, and it's just clear that we all need to step up, because this is not a time for me to start. This is not a time for us to start blaming each other. It's time for everyone to determine, okay, this is what I can do, and this is what I'm doing. Not about me sitting down and complaining that that person is not doing something right. No, we all have a part to play.
True.
We all have a part to play. If there's someone who cannot feed on my street and I'm not doing my bit to try to feed that person, I do not have any right to blame anybody outside my street. So it is about collective responsibility now. Because if we don't take care of people within our sphere of influence, we don't have a right.
Great. So invariably, what I hear you say is social welfare is a thing and is a must for, every individual who's succeeding in one space or the other.
Critical.
Not necessarily for, the big organizations that we expect the CSRs from. So let's dive right into Giving NG, which is one of the products of your organization. How does this then fit into the purpose of, what we're discussing about?
Giving.ng is fantastic. While I say that, so excuse me if I'm saying it by myself, right?
Trust me, you are excused.
So Giving.ng is fantastic because it's a platform, first, for the social impact community. It is the first and only free crowdfunding platform in Africa.
Interesting.
It is also the first and only crowdfunding platform in Africa that gives grants for critical sectors on it also. So fundraisers that are raising funds in the health sector, education, food security, renewable energy, you can access grants on Giving.ng today. Now, beyond that, Giving.ng has created a platform for every Nigerian to be able to give towards any social impact initiative they're interested in, which is exactly what we're talking about people taking responsibility. And it has also made it so easy because it's a digital platform. And when I say every Nigerian, I mean every Nigerian within and outside the physical jurisdiction of Nigeria. Nigerians from any part of the world can give on Giving.ng. So assuming I'm in the US and I come from Umuohe in Umo State, and I have been in the US for the last 30 years, but I want to do something for my community, I can go on Giving.ng and sign up on the Give network and choose Imo State for impact. I can engage further if I really want something specific to be done. And Giving.ng would help to execute, because we have a partnership with the Nigerian network of NGOs, over 3,000 member strong NGOs in every nook and cranny of Nigeria today that we work with execution. And the beautiful thing about the Giving.ng platform is that we also do due diligence checks on the NGOs that sign up on our platform, because we're also aware that it's not everything that glitters that is gold.
True.
So we do those checks, leveraging our partners to ensure that the funds on the platform go to the projects and they are effectively utilized to achieve those goals for which you as the donor you intend to achieve. So it is fantastic because we want to enable a lifestyle of giving. One thing I must say about the Nigerian people is most of us are givers. Maybe because of our culture, maybe because of religious inclinations. It is very rare to find a Nigerian that has never given. It's almost impossible. In my experience, maybe there are in one way or the other. So giving does not have to be cash, right? And if I'll bring it down to the least part, you can give a smile, worst case scenario. So yes, now speaking seriously, Giving.ng provides that platform for not just individuals, corporate organizations to donate towards projects they're interested in, even if it is not within their vicinity, or even if it is churches can have fundraisers on it for social impact, because you find that so many religious bodies, beyond teaching from the holy books, they actually also identify need areas within their communities to support and to also ensure that people around them are fine, and to also block the inequality gap that exists. And then even alumni associations. Yes, I finished from international school, I finished from University of Lagos, and my alumni association wants to give back or wants to do something. You can do it all on Giving.ng. The beautiful thing about the platform, it also aids transparency. So distrust is immediately eliminated. Everybody can see how the money is increasing. You understand what I'm saying? And we also help to provide project monitoring services if that is required. So it's a platform that helps to ensure that everybody can be a philanthropist. You don't have to have 30 billion in the account for you to actually.
Can participate.
Everybody can participate. Everybody can participate. There's one other thing that the Giving.ng platform has, which is the Give Network. So for the Give Network, it's monthly donations towards projects you're interested in. There's even one that we're currently looking at, which is keeping a child in school. And this is just 5,000 naira per month. So any salary earner that you can have a disposable income of up to 5,000 naira can actually help a child have a better future. And that 5,000 naira that someone could just easily throw away can actually be the game changer for someone else. So let's block this gap. Let the haves try to give to the have-nots. The truth is that everybody needs. But it comes to a point where you know that there are needs and there are needs. When you now look at physiological needs, need for food, need for shelter, need for education. Education should be a right. What I can do, I will do. And the beautiful thing about the platform is we also are partnering with some state governments, and funds can be raised to provide health insurance. Because it's actually amazing that someone can die in a hospital just because of 20,000 naira. Now, you cannot equate the cost of a soul, of life, with 20,000 naira. You and I can actually make sure that someone doesn't die just because Giving.ng exists. So donations can be made, fundraisers can be made to support the vulnerable in society, provide health insurance so they don't have to make provision for out-of-pocket expenses, and basic needs. These basic needs can be met.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, listening to all of, what Giving.ng can do, it sounds like a fantastic project, and it's really amazing going all the way to see that there is an inclusion for every individual to be able to give back. And you mentioned, the fact that Giving.ng is trustworthy. And I know that off the top of my head, I could just imagine, someone having money and say, oh, how can I really trust these people? What method has been infused to ensure that, the transparency, there's accountability on Giving.ng? So can you just talk us through? And then secondly, how long has Giving.ng been in existence? What's the level of awareness? Because I can say for free, there are a lot of people who are not aware of the existence of Giving.ng. So can you talk us through that, please?
Okay. Giving.ng was established in 2019.
Okay.
Notably, during the pandemic, Giving.ng actually set up the Health Workers Fund in partnership with Sterling Bank, Hygia, HMO, Trace TV, Pulse, quite a number of partners, which was what I spoke to initially. And the goal was to support health workers on the front line of the pandemic. I just thought to mention that, Giving.ng is not new. And over 150 health workers across geopolitical zones were supported at the peak of the pandemic and were paid hazard allowances to support them, to encourage them, since we knew that, unfortunately, actually, some of them lost their lives while fighting to keep all of us safe. They paid the ultimate price. So yes, Giving.ng is not new. 1, 2, although the platform was given a fresh outlook, January this year. And you're right, we're not in everybody's face, and we've spent bulk of the time so far securing critical partnerships, which is what I spoke to the partnership with the Nigerian Network of NGOs, because we want to be able to ensure that we make good on our promise. If I say I'm going to be able to execute projects in Umohe, I should be able to, and I should have the partnerships and the networks to be able to ensure that is your reality. So yes, and we're going to step up on communication and making noise.
I think that's really important.
Because you think that the platform is too good.
It is actually. I mean, it sounds really interesting, and knowing that, just the ordinary Nigerian can participate in giving, and then you see variety of opportunities of people in need. People have this money, but the challenge is, where do I put my money? So if giving NG is giving Nigerians the opportunity to give back to society, I think it's brilliant, and I think everyone should absolutely know about giving NG. So, brings me to the question of who can actually access, these donations and grants, and how can they access these funds? So it's a question of who and how.
You're talking about the grants or
yes,
the donations?
The grants. Yes, let's talk about the grants first.
Okay, let me speak to who can fundraise on giving.ng.
Okay.
Individuals like you and I can fundraise on giving.ng. Corporates can fundraise on giving.ng, although for just social impact projects. NGOs can fundraise on giving.ng. Alumni associations, I think I mentioned earlier, can fundraise on giving.ng. And basically, the objective has to be for social impact. That's the first part. The second part is who can access our grants. As a fundraiser, you can access my grants on these conditions. Your project has to be in the health, education, renewable energy, or food security sectors. Those are sectors that we consider as critical.
Priority sectors.
Priority sectors, really. Priority sectors. So yes, you can access my grants if you're in any of the sectors. Secondly, you need to also demonstrate that you're able to get sufficient people to buy into your vision. So we're looking at just a minimum of 100 people to support that project. And then finally, at this point, we actually support with a maximum of ₦1 million per project. We call the grants finishing grants, completion grants. So we help you finish faster. We help you complete your fundraiser faster. An example is, I want to renovate the computer lab in my secondary school, and I want my friends to join me, and the amount is 2.5 million naira. And I seed it with 100,000 naira, and I call my friends and family to support that project. And my friends and family, by the time they're done, they'll be able to raise 1.5 million naira. Giving.ng will provide you with the 1 million naira. Because the project is in the education sector, you've gotten up to 100 people to donate towards the project, and what is left is just about 1 million naira. So if it's what is left about 1 million naira or less, yes, you access my grants.
Interesting. So when such NGOs access grants, is there some sort of monitoring?
Definitely. So the grant giving is going to be based on milestones. So once you access our grants, we are partners with you on the project. So we would even help you, whatever it is that you need to ensure that the project is successful, because we are responsible to Nigerian public. So the fact that you've accessed my grants doesn't mean that I'm the only donor. Different Nigerians across the globe, and even non-Nigerians, if you like, supported that project. So we have to execute excellently well and then provide reports back to them to let them know that this was what you did and this is the report of what you did.
Okay, so we learned a lot about Giving NG today, and I would like to ask, what other social welfare development initiatives are currently being carried out by Sterling One Foundation, and what has been the impact over the years?
Okay, so I would speak to the multi-city beach cleanup, which actually started this year. This is the thinking of the multi-city beach adoption. It is, we realize that our beaches can be cleaner. 1, 2, There are scary statistics that say that by 2050 there will be more plastic in our seas than fish. 3, the best time to start solving a problem is now, when it is clear that statistics are showing that that problem can escalate to become a challenge because most of us consume seafood. And currently we already know that so many fishes have microplastics in them that end up in humans, and studies show that it's also one of the causes of cancer. We identified this challenge and we have a wonderful solution to it. A beach adoption project. So it is not just us going one Saturday and clean the beaches and then that's it. No. We adopt the beach such that we empower the women and youth in that coastal community. Give them the required training, build their capacity, provide them the resources, and then pay them after they're done on a monthly basis to ensure that those beaches are clean every week. Those beaches are cleaned a minimum of thrice every week as we speak. So far, we've adopted 2 of those beaches and we've employed about 40 women and youth in Nigeria today. And our plan is, and we're doing this with partners, and our plan is to get more partners on board to adopt more beaches, because apart from the fact that it's a global problem, for us here, it is more because we could all do better when it comes to waste management, sorting at source, recycling. Yes, we could all do better. So on that one, all of us could as well be guilty. So all of us should also be part of the solution. Now, that is the project I like to speak to, and that is ongoing, and the youths and the women are being empowered. It helps to achieve like 7 of the Sustainable Development Goals, from no poverty to life below water, climate action, life above water, decent work and economic growth, gender equality, quite a lot. And that's one project that we're running right now. We have a governance board for it also.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's been interesting conversing with you and learning all about the works of Sterling One Foundation, and also particularly the platform Giving NG. I do hope that this reaches, the ears of those who need to learn about it and, swing into action. So thank you, Olakpeju, for joining us in the studio today.
Thank you, Sandra, for having me. It was my pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. If you'd like to know more about giving.ng, please visit the website at www.giving.ng. And should you like to listen to more of the NESG podcast, please go to www.nestgroup.org/podcast. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to our content today. Remember to subscribe to the NESG Radio. Follow us across all social media channels and visit our website www.nestgroup.org/NESG Radio. NESG, in the national interest.